welcome to another episode Tales from the Scrap Bin. So, people who might not recognize these things, these are actually T74 crawler bulldozer um, steering clutches, or basic steering clutch discs. My friend from Finland sent these to me and wanted me to rivet them, so I did actually countersink these holes to a 5mm rivet because 4mm rivets are the factory ones, but those I cannot find anywhere. So basically, all I have is 5. So it doesn't much matter because there's plenty of meat here left, and basically we can make these discs usable. Now these are the good ones. This one's a bit pitted, but I'll use some magic sauce on this and it will rust again. So basically, we're going to, or actually, I am going to start working on these and see where we go. I got also a bunch of spare discs from the same person that wants them riveted. These are the good ones, and these are the really pitted and bad ones. I'm not going to even try to clean them all. I'm just going to put the magic sauce and gonna see. Maybe I'll clean them in the future better. I mean, some of the usable, but if they're really pitted like this, unless you have no replacements, I mean, it's usable, but it could be better. But I'm conserving them for the future. Maybe I'll have to do something, or he wants more discs, so at least I have a good set of spares. Before I show the riveting process, which itself isn't really hard, we have to talk about a few things as usual, because this is an older machine. We have to deal about parts availability. But first, if you're going to rivet new covers to these steering clutch discs, make sure you fit them first before you start, drilling any holes. If you do the holes and some of them misalign or they're just way too off, well, good luck, because you've ruined the disc material and you just wasted a ton of your time and valuable money on something that is not going to fit together. What I did was countersink or bore the holes according to the cover, according to the metal disc I had. So I didn't have many problems. I only had to maybe drill them on a stand a few times, but most of the lines and most of the holes lined up perfectly. So that's an advice for anyone who's ever doing this the first time. Make sure the disc is clamped down, make sure everything aligns, and you should be good. Now, we come to the second part, parts availability. Well, I have to say that if you live in Ukraine or you have some good contacts in Ukraine, you can get parts from, they are still available, and you can get the steel discs, you can get the friction discs. But if you live outside of Ukraine, you're pretty much, I would say, screwed, because your only options are to find new old stock disc rings or the friction covers basically, or you have to use a crawler bulldozer close size clutch disc cover and cut them into the right diameter and length. And you have to also keep in mind that they have to match up also thickness wise. You cannot have too thick steering clutches, because otherwise it won't work. So with parts, I will say that yes, they are scarce, but here and there sometimes you can see friction discs available. Now, I had these discs a long time before I got the crawler even, because I knew that these things would be hard to come by in the future. And if anyone is interested, here are the parts numbers you can use from the original parts catalog of this tractor to actually find out where you can find these. So pretty much all I have to say is, if you don't have the right discs, you can cut them from something else. Material wise, these are asbestos ones, and there are better solutions now. Some people also cut some grooves in the discs. I didn't, and the OEM ones also didn't have it, at least the examples that were given to me. So I think this should be now fine. And also, the original ones had bronze rivets versus I used alloy rivets because those were plenty available. Bronze ones I do have, but I couldn't find them. I have no idea where they're now at. So if you're keen to doing this yourself, just keep in mind there are some hurdles with parts you may run into, and if you're going to cut these discs into right length from something bigger, just make sure you don't inhale the dust. That's all I have to say. And we're back with the riveting. Now, I did countersink both of these sides, as you can see here. You need to actually, this is a 6mm rivet, but I had to cut these a bit shorter because otherwise they just won't, work out. This is the countersink hole, and the way I do this is I rivet one of these, then I go into the opposite corner, and then I go from there to there in a zigzag pattern. This you don't bind anything, and it's usually good. I had to test fit this. I'm using just regular M6 bolts to hold it together. This is the one that I did a riveting job already. I mean, this one looks fine. The only problem is these dome heads, I had to use the angle grinder to take a bit off so they're flush. They won't interfere much, so pretty much it's all done. Now we're going to repeat the same process on this disc. It's hand riveted. It takes a whole lot of time. If I had a machine, it would be a bit better, and I'll see if I can countersink these heads in more. But you would ask, well, is there actually, a difference? You rivet one side. I looked at the factory one, and the factory one had a few, like these, like one side had one dome head, the other side didn't. Sometimes they were like a mismatch. So it doesn't really matter if you leave the heads on one side and the other side is flush. I think the best way would be to alternative dome head, flush, dome head, flush. So that would be your ideal condition, but the rebuild ones will look the same. But overall, this is what we'll look at is a final product here. So I'm going to get busy with this one as well and rivet them out, and we'll see the end result. And we're finally done with the riveting part. Now, this is second. This one came out much better. This is kind of close to the factory one, and it's pretty much, it's smooth surface. This is smooth ones. If my friend wants to, can just file it or sand it, but this one was the first one. This one was a bit of a trial and error one, but it should work. It's smooth and solid. So these are the two T74 crawlers steering clutch discs, and if I would have to do like a 10 or an entire pack, I would pretty much invent the machine to rivet these ones. With the second one, I figured out the best way to rivet these, but the first one, wasn't that. I had a little bit of problems, but they're done and they're ready to be shipped. So these are going back to Finland, and I hope my friend gets his crawler working again. And I guess this is about it. This was another episode, Tales from the Scrap Pen.